Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Welcome to another daily motivation stream. I'm your host, Kauffman, and today we're going to be getting in some more writing. Let's see, we are in day 448 of consecutive writing streams, and we're going to try to see what we can actually get accomplished today. I know yesterday we made some substantial progress, so welcome to the community. By the way, I'm Kauffman. I'm on a mission to help the writers of the world with the process that it takes to become an author, because it's so much easier with the writing community. So come join us, because we're starting right now. All right, my friends. So our first writing sprint, 1 of 3. We're going to start off with our easy 25 minutes. You know the drill. You know how it works out. Calvin, Tiara, welcome, my friends. Glad to have both you guys here in the chat. Hopefully you guys are ready to get a little bit of writing in today. Calvin, I know you've been motivating me with all your consistency. Tiara, hopefully you're able to get some stuff in. Hopefully you're not too busy with work. Calvin, I thought you were on a mission to put a dragon on everything. You know, I'm on a mission to do a lot of things. Putting a dragon on everything is one of my mini missions. So I don't want to bore you guys too much with only one mission. So trying to keep it entertaining, you know. All right, my friends. So I'm going to get into it. I'm like, am I feeling the writing vibe? Kind of lukewarm, but I'm at a good point of the story. So I think rereading this last section, you guys know me, when I kind of reread the last couple pages of what I had wrote previously, that definitely gets me into the vibe. Hey, what's up, Nil? I know you've definitely been hard at work writing, so welcome back, my friend. Hopefully we're able to get a little productivity in, and we'll chat on the breaks. So with that, I got 25 minutes on the clock. I am all ready. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that's all part of the process. Come join us, because it's time to write now. Writing sprint done. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Awesome. So, how did that writing sprint treat you? Were you able to make any progress that time? I feel like we did a pretty good job of getting into it. I I felt pretty motivated on my end. Like, I wasn't feeling like too much the writing vibe, but I wasn't feeling like a lack of motivation today. So I was kind of like at neutral, I would say, coming into it. And it always helps me. If I'm ever feeling at like a 0 scale or I'm feeling like negative, like not feeling the writing vibe, something that works for me time and time again is reading through the last couple pages of what I had either gone through, either written, revised, or gone through my previous writing session. And I feel like it always does a great job of it lets me do little line edits and line fixes if there's something that I missed. And it also gets me back into like, okay, now I get back to the present moment and then I keep going. That's always worked out so well for me. Nice, Calvin. You're like a measly 420 words. You are all good, my dude. 420 words in 25 minutes isn't terrible at all. I actually think that's a good rhythm. I think like my average for a 25-minute sprint is like 300. 300 is my average. So, but I mean, I also like I don't have a high word count average when I do sprints. For me, I'm like I don't think I'm the fastest, and we know that, right? Because Solo tends to be the fastest. But I know for me, I generally balance like a moderate word count with a higher fixing. I tend to do a lot of fixes. Nice, Calvin. You're gonna finish chapter 19 today. Or that's nice. That's awesome. Remind me, Calvin, how many chapters you're aiming for with Knox with that book. So, what's really interesting? So, like Maddie and Viking, I saw you guys were talking for a moment. You guys, let's see, you guys brought up something really interesting. But hold on just a second. I want to fix something. Okay. So, you guys brought up a really interesting point because you guys were during the end of that sprint. All right. So then during the sprint, you guys were talking about Viking. You said, I just got to make sure I don't burn myself out on my book. Happens to me so often. I start on a creative project super enthusiastically, and at some point, my motivation just drops dead. And then Maddie, you're like, I find if I get too excited, I just try to speed through it too fast, and that's where my burnout happens. Have you tried limiting yourself? And then Viking, you said, usually I only sit down and write when I feel like it. I don't want to pressure myself into it, and then I just write. As long as it feels like the words are just flowing out of me, then I stop. Sometimes it's after only a few hundred words, sometimes it's like an entire small book. So I wanted to speak to this for a moment, guys, because I have experienced that throughout my life. And I'd like to share with you guys something that I learned. So I've been writing my entire life. Some years I wrote every week, every month. Other years I wrote not at all, depending on where I was at with life. Something that I used to do when I was writing, I used to, similar to Viking, what you were saying, I used to wait to write when I was feeling inspired and when I was feeling creative, when I was feeling enthusiastic, because then I would write like the craziest cool stuff. Now, as I went through highs and lows in my life, sometimes that creative inspiration was based on the way I felt emotionally, which was either an emotional high if I was feeling great, and then the idea came to me, like, okay, that's awesome. Or if I was in an emotional low, because then I felt like, okay, I'm like that, the artist vibe. I'm like really feeling that true emotion to capture whatever negative emotions that I created. The upside to this style and strategy was that for many years, when I wrote, I was able to create some awesome things. The downside is that my writing process was extremely inconsistent. Like I said, months writing, other months not writing. And what I've learned is while it did allow me to grow as a writer over time, the inconsistency al- the inconsistency didn't let me ever finish a single project because I would get to a point and then I would stop for a while and then I'd come back. I'd have to get myself back into the mindset of that pre-existing project, or maybe I'd be inspired for a new project, or I'd go back to an old. So I was always bouncing around. Now, this is what I always recommend to writers because I've been like, that's how I used to be for many, many years. And now, in this new phase of my life, since I've started this daily writing stream, and you guys know, right? I've done 450 consecutive streams. From what I've learned from this process is that if you create a system for you of consistency, that's going to help you achieve your goal of publishing your book so much just more effectively. I highly believe that consistency is a much more effective strategy than following when I feel like it. Now, you also have to recognize what consistency looks like for your lifestyle, right? For me, consistency is every day, but that's because I'm at a point in my life where I can balance that. If I was working a 40-hour a week job, if I had a family or like kids, right, that type of responsibility or other types of responsibilities, I may or may not be able to handle daily writing routine. So I think the key to longevity is creating a consistent routine that works for your lifestyle. Now, what I've seen from writers is I always recommend like bare minimum do like a 2 to 3 times a week, right? Something that works really, really well for you. And even if you show up to those writing sprints and you show up and you're like, hey, I don't feel like writing, force yourself to just write and just see what comes out. Even if you write something bad, I would rather that you show up to your writing, your time to write, and write the worst garbage for 10 minutes than write nothing at all. Because it's the act of writing that's going to get you into that long term consistency. The reason being is if you create a consistent habit, same thing as like going to the gym, right? A lot of people don't like going to the gym, right? But you create that consistent habit over time. And then in the long term, you're less likely to burn out because you're not waiting to write based on how I feel. You're writing regardless of your emotional state because the human experience, right? Highs and lows. So that's something that I would always recommend. And then I do also believe in taking breaks. I highly, highly believe in taking mental health breaks, right? If you're hitting a point in your life where like, hey, I'm gonna get burnt out, and maybe you're dealing with like some like health stuff, or maybe it's relationship or school or work or whatever it is, then taking a break is healthy, but I think you got to be intentional with taking your break. I think because what I see all the time is I see writers writing, 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 they get burnt out, and then they stop writing for years, right? And that's like I just want to see more writers get their books published and succeed with the process. So what I always suggest to writers, and this is what I'm seeing works, is I always tell writers if you're gonna take a break, be intentional with your break, right? So like, hey, you know what? I'm feeling burnt out because being creative takes energy. I'm going to take a break for 2 weeks, right? And then in 2 weeks, whatever date you decide, I'm going to check in with myself. Do I feel like I'm in a place where I can write again? Great, let's try it. If not, I'm going to take another 2 weeks. And I think being intentional with your break will help you in the long term. So that way you can eventually get that first book published. So that way you're less likely to be stuck in this limbo of never becoming a published author. So those are my 2 cents. I know I've talked about it on the streams before, but kind of your guys' conversation definitely spoke to me. So I wanted to throw it out there. Oh, you cracked me. I feel like he's using me as an example since he just described my life. Calvin, there is a reason that stat that I've quoted before, why 97% of writers never finish their first book. And it's for that reason. I think it's because a lot of writers, a lot of newer writers, especially, I'm not saying you're a newer writer, but just in general, a lot of newer writers wait to write till they're feeling it and then get stuck in this limbo of inconsistency for years, which is why it's so hard to then achieve that first book when really consistency is the goal, but it's consistency within whatever your own lifestyle is. Vikings. So, like, I really tend to manage my workload in extremes, which can be really exhausting. Either I don't have anything to do and get bored out as hell, or I work like a horse into university, 20 hours of work on the side, hit the gym 7 times a week, and even fill my free time with something exhausting as well. And you know what? Like, I think what's important is we also recognize what works for us, right? And I think if we have routines in place and like it works, do that. At the same time, if we know we have a history and a pattern, I'm not saying this is you, Viking, I'm just saying in general, if you know that you have a history of getting burnt out or of wanting to take breaks, then the question that we always pose, or the question I would pose to myself if I was in that situation, is what am I going to do about it? Right now, I'm in a creative high, I'm in a creative, emotional, awesome place. So what am I going to do differently the next time I feel like I might get burnt out? And then that way you're just trying to, it's trial and error. So that way you can get to your goal of getting your creative stuff out there and published sooner. You crack me up, Matt. You're like, I'm going to take a mental health break for the sprint and clean my room. That totally had. That's like when I go to my desk and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to write, but my desk is kind of a mess. I have to clean the desk. Then the desk is clean. I'm like, well, you know what? My bookshelf could be arranged. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to make sure I have the right pen, and just one right after the other, my friend. I totally get that. Hey, what's up, Karen? Like, I do write almost every day. However, I also struggle with time management and imposter syndrome. A part of ADHD people don't tend to talk about is the emotional dysregulation. Yeah, and I could only imagine how challenging that must be. While I personally don't struggle or don't deal with ADHD, I have a lot of friends and family who do. And I think we have to know ourselves. And then, based on whatever doctor's recommendations are, if we're balancing medication or whatever is the right choices for our lifestyle to be able to achieve that consistency. Hey, what's up, Heather? Long time no see, my friend. Hopefully, you were able to get some solid progress in with your writing today. All right. And on that note, if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the ReadNow community, 450 consecutive writing streams and counting, and many, many more. If you're looking for a writing community with writers of all skill levels, genres, we got accountability, we got writing sprints, we got a book club, we got our critique stream, our author interviews, and our fiction contest coming up later this spring. This is the place to be. So make sure to tap that follow or subscribe button, and you'll be alerted when we go live. All right, my friends. So I feel great, and I do have enough time today. So we're going to up this sprint to 35 minutes. So writing sprint number 2, 35 minutes. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And let's do it. I think I'm going to make some good progress in this next sprint. So I think I am all ready on my end. Let's see, 35. Perfect. All right. So I am all ready. I'll come join you during the chat during the sprint so we can try to stay more productive. But whether you are writing, brainstorming, editing, working on branding, or maybe just taking a mental health break, that is all part of the process. Come join us because it's time to write now. Writing sprint done. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. How did that writing sprint treat you? Were you able to make some progress that time? I felt pretty good. I feel like I was able to make some substantial progress. I was pretty happy on that round. Yeah. Oh. Mm. Yeah, so I feel like I was able to make some good progress. Let's see, so I'm about 40% of the way into the novel right now. We have our hero. So Scarecrow got separated from his friends. So he got separated from the pixie and the crow. And now all that we know is that he's been caught in some type of trap. So he's in some type of pit that's inside the that's with inside the cliffside of some type. He was captured by these seems like a series of a couple primates, and he's now in a pit with other animals or creatures. He's now been reacquainted with Gore, the grizzly bear, who was also captured, and they've been introduced to another supporting character, to the snake. Now, I thought of the name. I was like, the snake, originally I named the snake Stretch, but I thinking about it, the snake is a cobra. I'm naming the snake is kind of going to be a minor character. His name's going to be King. I kind of like that King Cobra, and I think I can do something clever with that. Originally, the snake was a bigger role in the last draft. I'm making his role a little smaller, but I think he'll still be impactful during this story arc because I want the character development to focus a little bit more on the grizzly bear. So, yep. And now that they only know that they're in this pit, Scarecrow wants to go find Pebble, the pixie, wherever she's gone to. So it looks like they've split up temporarily to do reconnaissance, in a sense. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good on my part. I know exactly where I'm going, and I'm pretty happy. I'm combining 3 chapters. So far, I've combined 2 of the 3, and he's just about to walk to where the 3rd chapter would have started. So pretty good. I'll have to kind of see if this chapter won't be too long, though. By the way, though, how did that writing sprint treat you? Were you able to make any progress? Words, ideas, thoughts? How did it go? Let's see. So, thank God, Maddie, you're like, I almost wrote a word. Well, Maddie, at least you got some cleaning in. At least you're able to make some progress on the mental health front. So I think that's always a plus. Calvin, you're like, I'm going to finish 19 today. Nice. Yeah, Calvin, you've been making some substantial progress like I have lately, which is always a huge, huge plus. So that's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, like I said, I feel pretty good with where I'm at right now. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm not doing too much rewriting, so I think I'm in a pretty good enough place. I think this part of the novel is when I start introducing a lot of minor characters. I start introducing from this chapter on. From this chapter on, so like the next 3 chapters, I introduce a couple of minor characters who are important to this story arc. And then I introduce a lot of like very, very minor characters. So I guess we would introduce like some supporting characters. So right now, I would say Stretch or King, the Cobra, is a supporting character. We introduced a couple of supporting characters in the next couple of chapters. I think I'm always asking myself with a supporting character because I don't have as much time to develop their character type. So I really have to make one quirk really stand out for them. So I'm kind of going back. I'll kind of play around a little bit with how I want the snake to really come across. So we'll see. Yeah. Yeah. As I'm kind of like thinking through it. Maddie, like I learned that my desk can be dismantled very easily. Maddie, sounds like you're getting some substantial spring cleaning done. Sounds like you're getting some substantial cleaning done. Come a little early this time around. So good for you. Hopefully, it's giving you some good ideas at least as you're trying to prepare and get into the next writing sprint. And for those of you guys who are just hopping into the stream, we're just on the middle of a writing break right now. We're going to hop into our third writing sprint in just a moment. So, yeah, and I think I'm making overall good progress. I've definitely added way too many words in this draft that I'm at. I think one of my biggest obstacles of this draft is I'm trying to cut down on words and I keep adding. I am, well, yeah, so I'm at 156,000 words. Do you ever deal with that in your storytelling? Like, God, I think I ended the rough draft at 140,000. Or maybe I ended at 150. I think I ended the rough draft at 150, and now I'm at 156. So we'll see. Got to figure out where to cut if I'm ever going to make progress. Oh, vey. So on that note, let's see, what do we got going on this week? Yeah, so I guess now's probably a great time to think about. So we are, once again, I want to do a quick shout out for the book club. The book club, we are voting for our sci-fi picks of the month. Once again, I'll bring this up. So right now we are voting for what book we're going to read in April, our April book club pick. So you guys should definitely go vote now. What April book do you want to read? We have 4 options that we've narrowed down to our finalists. I'll drop these down in the chat. Awesome. So there's the link. Make sure to go vote. Go help us decide what our April book of the month is going to be. You have until Saturday. We will be announcing the April book of the month on Saturday at the end of our live discussion for our March book, Dead Caster. So definitely make sure to vote now so you guys can decide. And there's a couple of interesting options here, right? The Infinite, Mythic, Magic Fall, or the Iron Service. So 4 different, very different types of science fiction. So I'm very curious. I'm kind of interested in all of them, but I'm very curious to see what the community votes on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Awesome. And on that note, let's go into our next writing sprint. So I think writing sprint number 3, let's go. What time am I at? All right, we're going to do 45 minutes. We're going to do 45 for this last sprint. I feel pretty good about it. We're going to finish off strong. So let's do it. Let me adjust this to 45 minutes. All right, my friends, let's finish off this next sprint strong. I believe in us. I think that we can do it. Nice, Mary. It sounds like you've been making a little bit of good progress. I know how much you've had to change and revise in your story. And I think that's what I love about the storytelling process. Awesome. So let's do it. Let's get into the third writing sprint. I am all ready. So I got 45 minutes on the clock. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, let's get into it because it's time to write now. All right. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So awesome. We were able to make some great, great progress in that writing sprint. I know I was. I felt pretty good. How much progress were you able to get today? We did about an hour and a half of sprinting. Yeah, let's see, 25, 35. Yeah, a little over an hour and a half. So we made some solid progress. Were you able to get some words, ideas, thoughts, strategies in? I know I was. So, very, very good, my friends. Thank you all for joining. And I hope we're able to make that much more effort with our books as we're approaching the end of March. Ava, welcome. I saw you're hopped in near the end of our stream today. ML, always good to see you and totally understandable, my friend. Life happens. But yes, don't forget to vote. Voting lasts until April or until this weekend. So anybody who wants to vote for the April book pick of the Read Now book club will be lasting until this weekend. But it looks like you guys are all making some good progress. Calvin, chapter 19 done in 550 words. Gwenna, awesome, 250 words. Not bad for getting the last few minutes. Thanks for letting me borrow your motivation. Anytime, my friend Gwenna. I'm a crazy writer here writing every single day and all that jazz. Always happy to offer up some motivation in return, my friends. Kara, I got 1.5 chapters edited in my anthology submission story and cut out about 40 words. Mary, 15,470 so far. Nice. I feel motivated just by hearing your guys' progress. Let's see. How much did I get through today? I did get through a sizable chunk. I'm getting close to the end of this chapter. Getting close. All right, and let's see how much. Oh wow! Oh my goodness, I got there about 2,000 words today. So clearly, I did pretty decent. Wow, yeah, about 2,000. Wow, nice, bazinga! I feel like I've made some good progress today. So very, very cool. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like if I'm able to hit above 2,000 in about an hour and a half of writing sprints, I feel that's pretty good. But granted, I would say about a fourth, maybe about a third of it was revising. So, but yeah, I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy with my progress. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish up this chapter tomorrow then, actually, because I'm getting close to the end of this chapter and progress on towards the back end of this book is going to go a little faster. Awesome. So I feel great about our progress today. As we're looking at creative writing on the morrow, we'll be back tomorrow with the Right Now Writers Group. Every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Do you want to come hop on stream with us? Let me know. Drop a comment. I'll include you in the invite. Our Wednesday Writers Group, we all hop on stream and talk about whatever writing craziness comes to mind. And maybe we get in some writing sprints, but we'll be back tomorrow for our next episode, our next meeting 39 of the Right Now Writers Group. And make sure that if you missed out on our past streams this weekend, the Story and Critique show, which that was the 39th episode of the Story and Critique stream, or the podcast, the Create Right Now podcast interview about how to be a hybrid author. Those are linked down in the YouTube description down below. And if you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button on your way out. Help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, it's been great. It's been awesome. We've all made some solid progress, but unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kauffman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.